Good morning. We now have the schedule for the news conferences tomorrow here in the interview room. 1:35 to 2:15 will be Villanova student athletes and then Coach Wright. 2:20 to 3 p.m. will be Iowa student athletes and then Coach McCaffrey. 3:10 to 3:50 Stephen F. Austin. 3:55 to 4:35 Notre Dame. Game time for Sunday, the first matchup, Villanova against Iowa, is at 12:10 p.m. The Stephen F. Austin Notre Dame matchup follows 30 minutes after that one. In just a few moments, we'll be joined by Michigan student athletes Derek Walton Jr. and Muhammad Ali Abdur Rahman, as well as Coach Beeline. The student athletes joining us for Notre Dame will be Demetrius Jackson, Zach August, and VJ Beecham. The student athletes that don't join us here in the main interview room will be available in the locker room. Oh, we're making the change? All right. Thank you. False advertising on the student athletes for Notre Dame will be joined by Matt Farrell and VJ Beecham. The remaining student athletes will be in the locker room. Sounds like something exciting happened. We'll report that as soon as we have the information. Once again, just a few reminders while joining us here in the main interview room for the main event of the evening. Please remember to silence all cell phones and refrain from using any flash photography. No video recording devices are permitted in this room, although they are permitted in other interview areas in the arena for your social media and other needs. The satellite information you already have. If you don't have it, you can see a representative of Hammond Communications, or you can come up here and ask me during the break. We have our microphone stewards in attendance tonight. If you have a question, just raise your hand. We'll send a microphone steward to you. Please remember to state your name and media outlet quickly and then proceed to your question this evening. We'll begin shortly with student athletes from the University of Michigan and Coach Beeline. The student athletes joining us here are Derek Walton Jr. and Muhammad Ali Abdur Rahman. The remaining student athletes are available for interviews in the Michigan locker room for a time period close to 30 minutes. We know it's after midnight, and we want to keep things moving for you guys. We know everybody's on deadline, and we are as well. Joining us from Notre Dame will be student athletes Matt Farrell, VJ Beecham, and Coach Bray following the University of Michigan news conference. The Michigan locker room is now open, and most likely the Notre Dame locker room is now open as well. Joining us now in the main interview room, student athletes from the University of Michigan, Derek Walton Jr. and Muhammad Ali Abdur Rahman, as well as head coach John Beeline. We'll ask Coach Beeline to make an opening statement, then we'll take questions first for the student athletes. Coach.
It was a great basketball game and a great environment, that's for sure. Notre Dame's strategy of coming out in the second half and being much more aggressive with their man-to-man defense was a key. I did not like the way we reacted to it, and we'll just have to get better at that. But they came out and denied some passes, and it put us back on our heels for a few minutes, and that was not a good thing. So it got them right back in the game, and then it was a dogfight. Who was going to make the last couple shots was going to win the game, and we shouldn't have put ourselves in that situation from how we played in those first few minutes of the second half.
We're going to open things up with questions for the student athletes only at this time. Questions for Derek and Muhammad Ali. If you have a question, please raise your hand. First question for the Michigan student athletes, if there are any. We have one on the aisle, just to the left. Remember your name and media outlet, then your question.
All right, Chris Barco with SNY. You guys led for a majority of the second half, and it kind of got away from the end. Was it something Notre Dame started doing in the last 5 minutes? Was it you guys maybe feeling a little bit of jitters? What happened over the last 5 minutes that Notre Dame was able to take the lead and hold on?
We'll ask Derek to take that first, then Muhammad Ali to follow.
We just, down the stretch, we didn't, collectively get enough stops in a row. And that was all the difference in the game, basically. They were getting stops, and we weren't. They were making shots, and we weren't. So, that's what it pretty much boiled down to. We didn't make the necessary stops down the stretch that would, hold them off.
Muhammad.
Yeah, like he said, we didn't get any stops on defensive end, and we weren't making that many shots. We just got to get better and play better defense.
If we have any box scores in the room, can you guys please bring them forward? Continuing with questions for the student athletes. Thank you, Tom. Next question for the Michigan student athletes on the right.
Yeah, for either one of you guys, considering that this was your 5th game in 9 days, was fatigue a potential issue? Derek, why don't you answer that one first?
Derek first, and then Muhammad Ali.
That's not what we gonna kind of attest it to. Pretty sure everybody at this time of the year is really tired, so that's not the route that we gonna take. We know that within the game there was some things we could have done to control our fate. You just wasn't able to capitalize on that. So fatigue is the last thing we're gonna test to us not coming out on top tonight.
Muhammad.
Like he said, every team's tired at this point in the season. So we're all young men, and fatigue's not going to be the reason why you win or lose. So you just got to go out there and play better.
Continuing with questions for the student athletes from Michigan. On the right side.
Hi, Tom Merriam, AP Radio. You guys expressed the disappointment coming so close to being able to advance tonight.
Derek first, then Muhammad, please.
Can you repeat the question?
You can express that.
It's disappointing in the moment because we feel like we were good enough to make that win, get that win, and it hurts. But ultimately, I'm just really proud of ultimately the guys that was on our team. We had so much things that went on within our locker room, and personal journeys and hardships that everybody had to deal with. So at this point, of course it's disappointing, but at the end of the day, we just really proud of our brothers. We really fought in a lot of teams, and a couple of guys wrote us off.
Muhammad, do you want to follow up?
Yeah, it's always disappointing when your season ends, especially like this in a close game. But I'm proud of all of our guys, like you said, and we fought hard and we played hard to the end.
Continuing with questions for the Michigan student athletes.
Herbert Delancey, BSTM. Despite the outcome of the game, how proud of you are the players of the fan support that you had coming from when you played in the first four to coming here to Brooklyn, New York, and play in the first round?
Again, Derek first, and then Muhammad.
Again, we always really appreciative of the fans that do, come out and may, go out their way to, support us in, venues outside of our home state. So again, that we really want to express how appreciative that we are. Again, that's all we really have to say. We really appreciate our fans, and they stuck with us when things weren't good, and when things got a little better. So again, we always appreciative of them.
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, we're just so thankful to have fans like we have, and we appreciate their support and coming out to the games even when we're not playing a home game.
Is there a final question for the Michigan student athletes? All right, we'd like to thank Derek and Muhammad Ali for joining us in the main interview room. They're going to head back to the locker room, which is still open, join their teammates for more questions. We're looking for the first question for Coach Beeline, and we have one in the back on the right. Tim.
Tim Bundus from the Washington Post. Obviously, Notre Dame had a great night shooting the ball. It seemed like a lot of the shots they made, they were just, pretty good looks. Would you have liked to see anything differently defensively, or was it just a matter of them, getting open shots and making them?
I loved in the first half, we played very good defense. They had 22 points. The second half of this game, the second half against Tulsa, again, we sort of lose some of that intensity I think you have to play good defense. Now, Beacham's shot from deep at the shot, we played 29 seconds of really good defense on that play. But we've been up and down all year with this. Whether it's schematic, whether it's personnel, we got to figure it out, because you can't give up a 58% percentage in the NCAA tournament and expect to win.
Next question's in the front on the right. Howard.
Coach, you've obviously had tremendous success with your system through the years and a lot of different stops, but I'm just wondering if you just came up against sort of the ceiling of having 3 guys playing 38 minutes, another one playing 36. Is your system just one that requires a little bit more depth to make the kind of runs that you've made in past years?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And, the depth that we had, that we expected to have going into the season, was sitting on the bench with Spike Albrecht and Karis LeVert. So we'll always wonder what could have been with those two. Here's a kid that scored 17 points as a freshman in the championship game, the national championship game. And we found out in December he can't play. And then you got Karis LeVert, who was arguably a first-round choice. So we missed those. We had to sort of go with the year. hey, listen, we're trying to build our depth, but we also got to win this game tonight, or our postseason's going to be over. So trying to balance that, it can catch up with you. I don't know if it does or not. I think that I love the way we played at times this year, but we'd love to have a nice, tight 9-man rotation to make it all work, and we didn't have that this year the way we'd like it to have.
Continuing with questions for Coach Beeline. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Is there a final question for Coach Beeline? Thank you very much, Coach.
Thanks.
The Michigan locker room is still open. The Notre Dame locker room, I'd imagine, is open at this time. We'll have the student athletes from Notre Dame and Coach Bray in here in just a moment. The Notre Dame locker room is open, and we're joined now by student athletes Matt Farrell and VJ Beecham, as well as Coach Bray. We'll ask Coach Bray to make an opening statement, then we'll take questions first for our student athletes. Coach.
That was a fabulous college basketball game. It was an honor to be part of it. Two teams going at it, throwing big punches. I'm certainly very proud of our group in the second half that we played, especially defensively.
Questions for the student athletes only at this time. If you have a question for the Notre Dame student athletes, please raise your hand. We'll send a microphone attendant in your direction. There's one up in the front. It's going to be the left microphone for Howard.
Hi, Howard Megdal of Vice Sports. VJ, question for you. Just, was there a moment where you knew that this was going to be that kind of a shooting night for you? And just if you could take me through what that feels like to go through this entire game without missing a shot.
It was really, no moment that really stood out for me. But I just tried to step up and knock down the shots. My teammates were really finding me. Matt Farrell told me before the game, he was going to find me all night, and he really did. So I was just stepping up, trying to knock down the shots, and I was fortunate that all of them dropped tonight. So,
continuing on the left side of the aisle.
Jamal Murphy, Bill Roden on Sports. For the players, I wanted to know what the atmosphere was like for you guys. It seemed electric out there.
We'll ask Matt to take that first, and then VJ can follow.
Yeah, we were actually just talking about that right before this. It was unbelievable. I don't know how it was before our games, but it was awesome to play in that atmosphere. I wasn't sure how many fans we had out there, but it was loud no matter what, and we were just enjoying it, and we just played, our game.
VJ, same question.
Yeah, it was a great atmosphere. Both teams really had great crowds. And, even the fans that weren't really cheering for a team were loud all night, too. So it was just, a great atmosphere to play in.
Continuing with questions for the student athletes from Notre Dame. If there's a question, raise your hand. There's one in the back on the right side. Herbert.
Yes. Herbert Delancey, BSTM. For the players, you all returning next season. How excited are you all that the ACC tournament is going to be here at the Barclays Center?
We'll ask Matt to take that first, then VJ.
Yeah, we're excited about that, but we're focused on the right now. you know, we got a lot of things to fix after this game, so we're not really thinking about that right now. Obviously, it's awesome to be back here in Brooklyn. Like we said, it's a great atmosphere, but you know, we're not thinking about that right now. Like I said, we're focused on the next game. This one's over, but it will be exciting.
VJ, anything to add?
It's just a great place to play basketball. You know, even though we're not really worried about it right now, we still have one game in Brooklyn. But as far as next year, we're not worried about it right now.
Continuing with questions for the student athletes from Notre Dame. If you have a question, raise your hand. We have one all the way on the left side toward the front.
Stephen Brooks, CNHI. This is for both you guys as players. Early in the first 5 minutes, the second half, there were a lot of, you know, sort of emotional changing plays for you guys. Matt hits his first three-pointer, he takes the charge. Steve has a little 5-point outburst there, diving in for a loose ball and everything. That first 5-minute swing to get you guys emotionally back in it at the end of the first half wasn't very good. How much did that, some of those emotional plays impact you guys?
Once again, we'll ask Matt to take that first, followed by VJ.
Yeah, when I saw Steve get on the floor and him showing emotion, I knew we were going to go on a little run. You never see that guy smile or anything. So, I mean, it was awesome to see that. And, you know, we got a little challenge in the locker room, so we wanted to come out with that edge that we always try to play with. And we went on a little run, made some big plays, and once everybody got involved, I mean, it was just fun. It was fun to play that way.
VJ.
Just like Matt said, those two things, you know, Coach really getting into us at halftime, and then Steve, you know, just the way he came out. He had a voice, you know, he was talking to us, and anytime he's like that, it's great for us.
We have time for one more question for the student athletes from Notre Dame. We're going to go to the left side of the aisle.
Chris Barca, SNY. For both players, Demetrius didn't have necessarily the best scoring night, but you guys were, you know, 4 guys in double figures, 5 guys, 9 or more points. Exactly how deep is this team, and how deep can you guys go, even without, you know, arguably your best player really chipping offensively? How long can you guys go in this tournament?
And again, we'll ask Matt to take that first, followed by VJ.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of great players on this team, and everyone believes in themselves, and we believe in each other, which is most important. You know, if Mitch is not having a great night, everybody on the floor is in his ear, everybody on the bench is in his ear. You know, he helped us in so many other ways, the special player that he is, and you just try to pick up the slack. And, you know, no matter who's in there, you know, they're going to play 100%, and they know, you know, all their teammates got their back. So I think we're a very deep team.
VJ.
And I just think, you know, as far as Demetrius, you know, he was still great tonight, even though his shot wasn't really falling. Just looking at the numbers, I think he was great in the second half on Walton, you know, defensively. And anytime he's playing downhill for us, you know, that's what really helps our offense get going, even if he isn't scoring, just getting that movement from him.
We'd like to thank Matt and VJ for joining us here in the main interview room. They're going to head back to the locker room, which should still be open for another 10 minutes or so.
Thank you.
Great job, guys. As soon as Matt and VJ clear the dais, we'll take our first question for Coach Bray, which will come to the right of the aisle. Josh.
Josh Newman, Asbury Park Press. No matter how much or how little Matt's playing, is there a certain trust level that you can throw him in there for a spot start and you guys really don't miss a beat?
Yeah, I thought, you know, he gives us another ball handler on the floor. I think it helps Demetrius. I thought, you know, he had 4 assists. He makes some plays. I thought he was really good defensively. You know, it's interesting. He helped us win a bunch of games early. Then we got away from him and we were winning. But I give him a lot of credit because, you know, he kept the great attitude because that's hard, playing early, then not playing. And then we ask him and we throw him in there to start, and he really delivered. But his teammates are confident in him. I'm very confident in him.
Staying toward the front on the right, Howard.
Hi, Coach, over here. I'm curious, you know, the defense has been sort of an intermittent presence for your team this year. But you held Mission to below 30%, you know, terrific shooting team in the second half. Wondering what you saw, whether it's effort, whether it's something else schematically, and whether you think this was any kind of a breakthrough for the team.
You know, I think this was a lot like some of our really good wins, North Carolina, Louisville, where we almost have to have our life flashing before our very eyes as we were at halftime to really dig in and defend. A lot of our great wins, we were down, and it was almost like, well, we got to dig in, and we did. I mean, again, to hold them to 22 or 23. We can play it when we need to. I'd like to see us play it a little longer, quite frankly, and maybe I'll mention that tomorrow.
All the way to the right in the back, Tim.
Mike, Tim Bontis from the Washington Post. At the other end of the court, you guys really couldn't miss a shot the whole game, it seemed like. I know you threw the ball around a little bit in the first half, but how much of that was stuff you guys are doing? How much of it do you think was breakdowns from Michigan?
Yeah, this is 2 out of 3 games where we've had 15, 16, 17 turnovers. At one point during most of the season, we led the nation in least amount of turnovers at 9. And I asked him, can we shave it down to maybe 10 on Sunday and not throw it all over the place? Now, we were better in the second half. And I think what helped us was we only played one big guy. It helped us defensively, and it helped open the floor for some driving areas and to get some screen roll stuff. And, I have a feeling we may be in that a bunch on Sunday.
We're going to go to the left of the aisle, Jaden.
Mike, Jaden Daly, Daily Dose of Hoops. You've always had a wing on the outside that can really stretch the floor and hit perimeter shots. VJ Davied had tonight. He had a big game, too, against Duke in the ACC tournament with Tim, with Ryan Ayers before that. How much has he evolved into that role, especially this season?
Well, I'm really proud of him because a year ago, he didn't have a very good postseason. We didn't even play him. I didn't even play him in the NCAA tournament. He really struggled. And for him to turn around and deliver like he did in D.C. and deliver like he did tonight when we really needed him, it's just, it's a great kid who's grown and matured, and now as a junior is really a key guy.
Another question to the left of the aisle.
Coach, any thoughts on Stephen F. Austin? Are you familiar with them?
Yeah, and I know Coach Underwood. We're both Under Armour guys, so we spent time together at a couple of the Under Armour events, and he was trying to get me to play him, and I said, no way, but now I got to play him no matter what. He's done an unbelievable job. All I know is West Virginia had 22 turnovers, and we've been throwing the thing and hitting most of the concession stands, the last 2 weeks. So we better be good with the ball. They play with great energy. They're a tough bunch. I was impressed. I watched before our game. They have a great toughness about them. We got to work. This is an ACC game. This is an ACC game. Tonight was an ACC game. We got another ACC-level game on Sunday.
We're going to go to the right of the aisle, but we're using the left microphone. Josh?
To go back to Matt for just 1 second, he came from a small high school. The level of competition was not great. Then, he steps up to Notre Dame, steps up to major college basketball. How much of a struggle was it for him early, and how much has he come along here through 2 years?
I think he's really learned a lot. Now, you think about what he has to deal with. He guards Demetrius Jackson every day in practice. What a great challenge, and he more than holds his own. He's really improved defensively, and even though he had a couple turnovers tonight, overall, he's understood how to be better with the basketball. He's always been able to score it and take shots and make shots. When he plays for us, though, he gets our shooters shots. It's not just Demetrius breaking people down and making the extra pass. And he did that in the last regular season game against NC State, and I felt we could come back to it. And you ask him to start, and he delivered. I'm so proud of him.
Is there a final question for Coach Bray?
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Coach. See you tomorrow. The Notre Dame locker room may be open for a few more minutes or maybe not. About 5 more minutes, the Notre Dame locker room's open. Once again, we're back here in the interview room with news conferences on Saturday, 1:35, Villanova, 2:20, Iowa, 3:10, Stephen F. Austin, 3:55, Notre Dame, with open locker room periods during that time as well. Good morning, good night from Brooklyn. We'll see you back here tomorrow.